Fight fans, fight fans, fight fans. This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. Deontay Wilder responds to the recent mess that's going on with Dillian Whyte in the WBC. Deontay Wilder states that Dillian Whyte has only himself to blame. Okay? He goes on and he says, I told Dillian Whyte I gave him two options. I told him to sign with the PBC with Al Haymon's Premier Boxing Champions. When he came over here, network shopping or whatever, he was over whatever he was doing over here. So I told him, yeah, just sign with us a one-fight deal. Then no problem, we'll get the fight on. We can get it on. I'll give you that shot. But that was one time strike. The next strike came when Wilder says he told Dillian White to face Luis Ortiz, giving him his word that if he did, he would fight White afterwards. Wilder emphasizes that he's a man of his word, but that White passed on that opportunity as well. He says Wilder continued by saying that the WBC ordered White to face Ortiz in a title eliminator match. Another fight White declined. Strike 3, says Wilder. And finally, Wilder says that strike 4 came when he told Matchroom promoter Eddie Hearn that he would fight White if he was guaranteed a fight with Anthony Joshua immediately after that. But that obviously didn't happen either. Okay, now, let me start from 1 to 4. Okay, he told White that to sign with the PBC. All right. Why would he have to sign with PBC knowing that he's already signed with another promotional company to make a fight? You know, and I specifically remember like the LDBC channels, Blue Blood Sports TV, saying, oh, that's not a difficult thing to ask. You know, just sign for one fight. Why would he sign for any fight? Why can't these guys collaborate and make the fight? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, this guy hasn't left Matchroom. He didn't leave Matchroom, but he was weighing his options, which was smart. Okay, because that made Eddie Hearn in Matchroom wise up about what Dillian White was doing. So I know why Dillian White was doing that. He was doing that to get leverage, you know, in the promotional company he was already at. I know that's why he did that. But to sign with PBC for what? You know what I mean? So they can lowball him and give him some bullshit offer that he's not even accustomed to, where he's selling out stadiums in the UK. That makes no sense at all. I wouldn't have done that shit either. Just like fucking Deontay Wilder didn't sign a deal on ESPN. Why would he do that? You know what I mean? He didn't sign with DAZN to fight Anthony Joshua. But anyway, that's beside the point. That's beside the point. Let me move on. Okay. He says the next strike came when Wilder says he told Dillian White to face Luis Ortiz, giving him his word that he would fight him afterwards. Wilder emphasizes that he's a man of his word, and White passed on that as well. Okay. Now, I specifically remember White offering that fight to Luis Ortiz, and something is up with Luis Ortiz's promotional company. I don't know if they're co-bought, co-owned by Heyman or what, but it's always some shit that's offered to them, and they never seem to know what's offered to them. And like, why are we knowing what is offered to them before they do? You know what I'm saying? It's always some shit where it's like a delayed message response from them, and they never get the memo until later. And then you hear Luis Ortiz come out and say, okay, hey, I do want to fight you. He offered Luis Ortiz to fight in fucking Wembley, not at Wembley, but the O2 Arena. You know? Ortiz said, no, I'm fighting on the undercard of fucking Fury, Deontay Wilder. So why would he do that when he had an opportunity to fight in a main event, right, in the UK? He fought in the UK before. He was signed with Matchroom before. So he can't say I never, fought outside of that realm, you know? So I just thought that was real strange, right? So then he says that he tells Eddie Hearn that he would fight Dillian White as long as the guaranteed fight with Anthony Joshua was immediately after. You know what's funny about that? I don't recall that being the case. This was last year. This was around, this is July, August, or September of last year, okay? It was a offer that actually Eddie Hearn offered Team Wilder that, hey, you fight Dillian White for $7 million and then you get another 15 guaranteed to fight Anthony Joshua. I remember that. So I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. You know what I mean? I never heard Deontay Wilder offer Anthony Joshua anything, or to fight Anthony Joshua, right? Or Dillian White. He didn't want Dillian White. He said a champion, a king don't chase a peasants. A king chase kings, right? Shortly after that, Dillian White did what? Whistle blew, okay? On the zone. He showed the text where he was directly inboxing Deontay Wilder, and Deontay Wilder told his ass straight up that I will freeze you out for 2 years. And then Dillian White was like, hey, I'll fight you. I'll fight Ortiz if I can get you afterwards. He said, I'm not signing that because I'll freeze you out for 2 years. He showed AK and Barack that shit. It went viral. Okay, you can look it up. Matter of fact, I'm gonna leave the link below in the description box and let you guys check it out. Okay, because he wanted to fight Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder ducked Dillian White. Okay, now the fourth one, well, that actually was the fourth one, or whatnot. But here's the thing. He says Dillian White can't blame nobody but himself. Why would you blame anyone else but the WBC? Because the WBC, according by their rules, they supposed to be enforcing and supposed to go by. They were supposed to allow Dillian White to fight the champion. He was the number one for that long of time, and then they put other people ahead of him because of what God knows why, right? Now, Deontay Wilder in his article says, hey, you know, I once felt sorry for, spoke out against the WBC. Now, you know, now I have to clear that up. In other words, let me read it to you. He says that, because they haven't enforced a mandatory title shot for him. In fact, the WBC isn't all that happy with White either. But the way he's been throwing the sanctioning body under the bus in public in his situation. Okay, that's something you heard from somewhere else. Okay. Well, here's the thing. I think that Deontay Wilder, he first said, I don't like how they're doing, what the WBC did in regards to other people like Canelo and the shit that's happened there. Okay, well, then you say, oh, well, let me clear that up. You know, I guess someone had, you know, shoulder tapped Deontay Wilder and told Deontay Wilder, like, hey, don't say that, you know, and actually go ahead and clean that statement up because you are the WBC champion and you represent the WBC. So if you say something foul about the WBC, you know, that affects your credibility as the WBC champion. And that makes a lot of sense. So I'm pretty sure someone did come to him, you know, and let's see. Yeah, because they haven't enforced a mandatory shot for him. These are the words of Deontay Wilder. In fact, the WBC isn't happy at all with White. Yeah, well, look, I've been saying that. The more shit that the WBC puts themselves in, and the more they're in the spotlight, the less credibility they have. And the less credibility they have, you got to look at that champion, you know, that holds that belt. Like, prestige, they're everything but prestige. Okay, I figured this out. The reason why they don't want to fight Dillian White is because of some deep-rooted shit with Eddie Hearn. That's for one, okay? Because they don't want to deal with Eddie Hearn with Shelly Finkel because it would be the same situation as Anthony Joshua. It's some deep-rooted shit between Shelly Finkel and Eddie Hearn, right? So they got some other shit going using the fighters as puppets. That's one. Two, they don't want to fuck with Dillian Whyte because Dillian Whyte is a live wire, as we know. He's the type of guy that says what's on his mind, right? And if you don't want to collaborate or deal with a fighter that you can't hush up, that you can't put the muzzle on. You see what I'm saying? Because Dillian Whyte's one of those dudes, you cannot do that shit. You know, what he did on DAZN, that AK and Barack interview, that was some classic shit, and they knew, no, we can't fuck with that guy because he'll fuck around and say something that we really won't want him to say, and we really can't stop him from saying it. But we can stop negotiations with him and his promotional company. That's why they wanted him to sign with the PBC. You know, because the PBC, those guys, they are protected, but they are not allowed to say certain things. You know, they're damn near like Scientologists. You can't talk about Scientology if you're in Scientology. Like PBC, you can't, if you're involved with PBC, you can't talk about the ins and outs in PBC. Like some masonry shit, right? If you're a Mason or some shit like that. It's some secret shit, okay? And they're not allowed to talk about certain things. That's why Deontay Wilder wasn't allowed to talk about what he re-signed for. These guys don't have any say-so and any decision making when it comes to the PBC and Al Heyman. But Dillian Whyte is a guy that he's with Matchroom and he'll talk shit about Matchroom. So if he's going to talk shit about Matchroom, what makes you think that they wanted to fuck with him and deal with him regarding the PBC? That's why the WBC is allowing this type of fuckery to go on, because they know a guy like Dillian Whyte, let's say he fucking beat Deontay Wilder. I'm not saying he'll beat Deontay Wilder, but let's say he does. If he beats Deontay Wilder, then they have to deal with a loudmouth, outspoken champion that don't give a shit about any promotional company because he manages himself. You think the PBC wants a guy that manages himself? Hell no. That's why they don't want to give him the shot. You know, but I will say this about Dillian Whyte. I did want him to fight Ortiz. I wanted that fight more than anything because that was the fight. I feel if he's 4 or 5, or if you think that Ortiz is 4, and then Dillian Whyte was 5, right, in ranking of the best heavyweights, those guys should fight to see where they're at. You know, that's the reason. And that would be a good style matchup, you know, between those two top fighters. But anyway, this is crazy stuff, man, that Deontay Wilder blames Dillian Whyte for his own thing. I would have wanted to get if I'm Dillian Whyte, I would want to get Luis Ortiz in that ring more than anything. But at this point, how do we really know if he could have done that? You know, the man skipped out on a O2 Arena main event to be on an undercard. That's funny. That shit there, it's questionable. That makes you scratch your head. Like, why would he do that? Just like, why would he overlook $7 million to be in a pay-per-view that we really won't know what he makes at the end of the day? I hope it's a lot, but I doubt it will ever be $7 million. All right? But anyway, we don't know that Luis Ortiz could even fight Dillian Whyte. I don't think it was in the plans of Al Heyman to let his fighter fight another fighter, especially if he could possibly lose. But anyway, that's my take on it, guys. You guys tell me what you think about Deontay Wilder's statements. Of course, please subscribe. You guys been Counterpunch. Peace.